Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
An unfamiliar sight for drivers on the 15. A Marine helicopter made an emergency landing right next to the busy freeway. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Our 10 News reporter Matt Boone spoke to the driver who took video of that landing.
Yeah, definitely quite a sight to see that thing landing on the side of the freeway. The military says it was doing some sort of training, but something went wrong and they had to make an unexpected landing.
The landing was captured by Mike Moore's dash cam while driving north on the 15 toward Highway 76. The CH-53E Super Stallion kicking up dust in what the Marines are calling a, quote, precautionary landing.
And it kind of just threw me off, but then I saw the propellers going and it kind of just clicked with me, and I was like, no way is a military helicopter landing right next to both of these freeways. And
right.
It was pretty shocking there.
Moore says he first heard the helicopters about a mile or so earlier.
You know, if those military helicopters come over you, it's pretty loud, but we had actually 6 of them come over us, so it kind of caught my attention.
All of a sudden, 2 of them veered off, but he didn't think anything was wrong until he started seeing the dust.
That's not a drill to just go down there and in that public area to go do things like that.
The helicopter is part of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. Similar to this unit, the Super Stallions are heavy lift operators that have been used by the Marines for combat support in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Africa. The Marines say this unit made the landing after the crew saw a light go off, indicating a generator had failed. A military aviation expert tells 10 News the Super Stallions have 3 generators and 3 engines, so they can fly if one fails. The chopper landed safely in a field off the 15. No one was injured.
Even in a drill like this, something can go wrong. And I just think it's a good reminder, and we just need to be more thankful for our military.
And the base says they expect to have that helicopter back on base sometime tomorrow. Reporting near MCAS Miramar, Matt Boone, 10 News.
In 2018, a CH-53E Super Stallion went down in El Centro. The crash killed 4 Marines, including San Diegan Gunnery Sergeant Derek Hawley. The chopper was also part of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing based out of MCAS Miramar. The crash happened during a routine training.
Panic on the soccer field after reports of a man with a gun at a kids' soccer game. Tonight, the coach of that Chula Vista team is sharing his story. Our 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo is in Chula Vista, where the coach met with parents to discuss yesterday's incident.
The team was back on the field tonight for tryouts. Now, the coach tells me even though this was a false alarm, he says he's looking into all options to make sure his players are safe.
Obviously, something's got to be done at this level, to protect the safety of our kids.
Speaking one day after a tournament ended in commotion, the Albion SC Chula Vista coach describes what he saw leading up to parents and players rushing off the soccer field. The team was down 3-2 in the final of the tournament in Temecula.
I think their forward and our center back got in a little altercation, boys pushing and just competitive drive.
Coach Ziggy Kortoski says the refs had the situation under control until a person on the sidelines ran onto the field.
I jumped into the field of play, crossed the line, and kind of sucker punched our player in the head.
From there, the coach says it snowballed out of control. Parents running onto the field, and then...
One of them has a gun, yo.
There were threats being made that somebody potentially had a gun.
That rumor of this person allegedly making threats of having a gun sent parents reaching for their kids, running for safety. The man was detained, but investigators say they didn't find a gun. Tonight, the coach speaking to his players and their parents, saying safety is his #1 priority, looking for options to make sure this doesn't happen again.
We're 10 years old, trying to figure out, why somebody, an ununiformed spectator would jump on the field and, create an issue that they weren't involved in.
The father of the boy that was punched tells me his son is doing okay, and he was here at the tryouts tonight. Reporting in East Chula Vista, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
We have some breaking news tonight out of El Cajon. A motorcyclist is undergoing surgery after hitting a parked construction truck. This happened on Valley Lake Drive around 8 o'clock tonight. Police say that motorcyclist slammed into the back of the truck and then just slid. A nurse who heard the accident came running out of her house and put a tourniquet on that motorcyclist, who was taken to the hospital with serious injuries.
Students at Alliant International University held a moment of silence today for their fellow student who was killed in the plane crash in Iran. 23-year-old Sarah Sadat was working toward her doctoral degree in clinical psychology. Last week, she, her mother, and sister were flying back to Canada after visiting family in Iran. Iran admits to mistakenly shooting down their plane just after it left Tehran's airport. All 176 people on board were killed, and now Sarah's school community is working to honor her legacy.
I know she wanted to make an impact on our community.
Her friends and classmates are planning a celebration of life for sometime next week.
5 weeks after that mass shooting at the Pensacola Naval Station, 21 Saudi nationals returned to Saudi Arabia. None of them are connected to the December attack, but authorities say at least 17 military trainees had jihadi literature, and 15 of them had child pornography on their computers. U.S. attorneys reviewed each of the cases and decided none would face prosecution.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia determined that this material demonstrated conduct unbecoming an officer in the Royal Saudi Air Force and in the Royal Navy.
The Saudi pilot who fatally shot 3 sailors and wounded 8 others was a radical. The FBI says he was planning to kill his American colleagues for months. U.S. Attorney General William Barr says the shooter was motivated by jihadist ideology.
There are new developments tonight in the historic house fire in Chula Vista. One of the firefighters battling the blaze suffered second-degree burns to his legs. The fire broke out about 8:30 this morning on Davidson Street. The home, which is known as the Hansel Cordery House, was built in the 1880s.
A passing off-duty paramedic that called it in, and the fire station's literally 3 blocks away, so we were able to respond quickly and get water on the fire.
The injured firefighter was taken to the UCSD Burns Center and treated. He is now home recovering with his family.
Tackle homelessness or face lawsuits. Some key advisors to Governor Gavin Newsom want to change the state's constitution and punish cities that don't make progress getting people off our streets. Our 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is live in the East Village, and this would be the first of its kind approach. Derek.
Yes, Steve, if this is adopted, California would become the first state in the country with this kind of mandate. Supporters say it wouldn't be enough for cities to simply set up shelters like this one behind me. Local governments would actually have to show measurable progress in the fight against homelessness. Right now, more than 150,000 Californians are homeless. A statewide task force assembled by the governor announced today it wants to require cities and counties to set targets with deadlines on shrinking their homeless populations by tens of thousands. Local governments that fall behind would be subject to lawsuits.
A legally enforceable obligation will sharpen focus, it will enhance a bias towards action, and it will elevate this on the list of priorities.
San Diego County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher is part of the task force.
It won't be enough to buy your way through with putting up a number of shelters to make the public think you're taking action. You will actually have to find a way to tackle the underlying problems.
Supporters liken the plan to California's renewable energy mandate, but a lot of specifics still need to be worked out. It's not clear how much this housing mandate would cost.
I would not be supportive of the state coming down on cities like San Diego and saying that you have to change the way you do business, change the way you operate it, and not give us any funding to do that.
San Diego Council member Chris Cate says he'd prefer to tackle homelessness with incentives, not punishments, but he too is waiting for more details. Amendment to the California Constitution. The task force wants this to go before voters on the ballot this November. Reporting live, I'm Derek Stahl, 10 News.
The San Diego Sheriff's Department is mourning one of its own killed in a crash in Temecula this weekend. The department says Deputy Matthew Creed died after he was thrown from his truck when it hit the center median Saturday morning. He was off duty at the time. There were 3 children in the truck when it flipped, and they were all taken to the hospital for treatment. Deputy Creed worked at the Vista Detention Facility. A fundraiser has been set up to help his family. We have a link to that on 10news.com.
A crime alert out of El Cajon tonight. Police and the FBI are looking for a man they say robbed a U.S. bank. This happened this afternoon at the location on Navajo Road. Police say the man in these photos went up to the teller and demanded money. The teller handed over an undisclosed amount of cash and the man left. Police have confirmed there were no weapons seen. No one was hurt.
Sweetwater Union High School District is attempting to get its budget back on track. Today, board members held a workshop to discuss what was necessary for the upcoming school year. Last month, the district decided to move forward with a budget that's $26 million in the hole. The district's chief financial officer didn't offer any specific areas to cut. And that followed the district's decision to cut multiple bus routes earlier in 2019.